Welcome to AI Unraveled, your daily briefing on how technology is changing the way we live, work, and connect. It is Friday, April 10th, 2026. I'm your host, Etienne Newman, senior software engineer and passionate soccer dad, broadcasting from Calgary, Alberta in Canada. Before we dive in, a quick reminder. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to AI Unraveled directly on Apple Podcasts so you can enjoy this daily human interest briefing and all our deep dives, completely ads-free. Today's episode is brought to you by Jamga. When Google News starts placing betting markets next to real journalism, the baseline of objective truth begins to collapse. Jamga provides the human-verified, technical-grade analysis you need to see through the algorithmic noise and protect your own critical thinking. Visit jamgamind.com. Today, we are unpacking the two realities. We are going to look closely at Andrej Karpathy's observation of AI psychosis and why the public has no idea how fast the technology is actually moving behind closed doors. We will deconstruct the psychological impact of AI asking for direct access to our personal bank accounts, the controversial gamification of the news cycle, and we will celebrate a genuinely beautiful medical breakthrough out of Oxford that proves why we are building this technology in the first place. Let's unravel what this means for you.
Imagine finding out that the exact same AI technology people are using to brainstorm marketing emails just analyzed a routine chest X-ray and predicted a heart failure you won't actually experience for another 5 years.
Yeah, it's wild.
Right. And then, that same afternoon, you realize a different AI is quietly trying to replace your entry-level job while, offering to manage your entire checking account.
Which is a completely different kind of stress.
Exactly. Welcome to the deep dive. We have a massive stack of sources for you today from this exact moment in time, April 10th, 2026. My mission here is to act as your digital rights advocate and, I guess, tech lifestyle journalist, because we all need a little help navigating the absolute whiplash of what is happening around us right now.
Whiplash is honestly the only word for it. When you look at the sheer volume of data we are processing today, the contradictions are just profound.
They really are.
We are seeing these incredible leaps forward, but they are happening alongside some deeply unsettling shifts in how we, interact with technology on a daily basis.
Yeah, we are looking at a phenomenon I want to call the two realities.
Right.
Because we are living in a split screen.
Right.
On one side, we are achieving miraculous, literal, sci-fi level medical and scientific breakthroughs. But on the other side of that same screen, our daily digital lives are becoming increasingly invasive, psychologically taxing, and, well, weirdly gamified.
Very gamified, yeah.
Today, we are previewing striking new polling on Gen Z's escalating AI anxiety, major platform shifts from Google and Perplexity that redefine what search even means, massive corporate financial disclosures, and that groundbreaking medical study out of Oxford. So, okay, let's unpack this. Where do we even begin to bridge this gap?
Well, I think we should start with a concept articulated by Andrej Karpathy in our sources, which he calls AI psychosis.
AI psychosis. That sounds intense.
It does, but what's fascinating here is that he has identified a growing and frankly dangerous divide in how different groups of people perceive the current capability of artificial intelligence. He basically breaks the world down into two distinct camps.
Okay, let me guess. Camp 1 is basically the everyday user, right? Like, you're paying your $200 a month for a pro-tier model.
Exactly.
You use it for deep research, writing reports, maybe some creative brainstorming. But Karpathy argues that this group, and I'll admit, I feel this myself sometimes, feels like the technology has plateaued.
Yes, that is exactly the frustration everyday workers are feeling right now.
Right, because we aren't seeing those massive, mind-blowing leaps in writing and reasoning that we saw a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still fighting with the bot just to get it to format a spreadsheet properly.
To the public, the magic seems to have stalled. But then Karpathy points to the second group, which is the engineers and developers who are building agentic business-to-business tools.
And for them?
For them, the advancements happening right now are staggering. They're experiencing a vertical exponential curve. So this creates the AI psychosis. The public thinks the tech has hit a wall, while the builders know it is hyper-accelerating.
But I need to push back on that a bit. Why the massive disconnect? If the models are getting so much smarter for the developers, why isn't that trickling down to my writing prompts or my, spreadsheet formatting?
It comes down to the fundamental mechanics of how these models are trained. Think about an agentic task, like writing code. Software engineering has explicit, verifiable reward functions.
Like unit tests and things like that.
Exactly. It relies on unit tests. The code either passes the test and works, or it fails and breaks. Because it is a binary outcome, it is incredibly amenable to reinforcement learning.
Oh, I see.
The AI can write a script, test it, fail, tweak it, and test it again millions of times in a simulated environment, grading itself automatically.
Right. Whereas writing a marketing email or a poem is totally subjective. You can't write a unit test for a good poem.
Precisely. It is incredibly difficult to explicitly judge and train an AI for better prose at scale without intense human feedback. And if you add to that the massive B2B financial value of autonomous coding agents, well, you understand why all the engineering focus and all the compute power is directed there.
That perfectly explains what the data is showing us about the reality gap. Because while the everyday user thinks things have cooled off, the corporate financial disclosures prove the exact opposite.
The numbers are staggering.
It's like we're passengers on a train who think we've stopped moving because our windows are blacked out, but the engineers in the front are throwing literal jet fuel into the furnace.
And if we look at the sources, we have the receipts for that jet fuel. We don't even need to look at every single tech giant. Just look at the physical infrastructure being built. Amazon CEO Andy Jassy just revealed that their custom AI chips, Trainium and Graviton, have crossed $20 billion in annualized revenue.
Wait, $20 billion just on custom silicon?
$20 billion just on the hardware supply side. And Meta is spending $21 billion on CoreWeave. Anthropic is exploring its own custom chips and also cutting a deal with CoreWeave.
It's just endless capital. I saw SpaceX took a $5 billion hit related to AI.
Yep. And XAI is prepping for an IPO and a massive reorg. Alibaba just dropped a new model that beat ByteDance. Meta is reassigning engineers heavily into applied AI. There's a new developer infra suite from Spacelift Intelligence.
It's a gold rush.
It is. OpenAI is projecting $102 billion in ad revenue by 2030, all while launching a new $100 Pro tier. This scale of data center construction is reshaping the physical world.
It's almost hard to fathom.
In our sources, there is a fascinating, highly contentious debate between analyst Dylan Patel and Jigar Shah, who is the former U.S. Energy Department director.
Oh, the energy debate.
Yeah, Patel is arguing that energy simply won't bottleneck this AI acceleration because the capital incentive is just too high. He suggests the industry will get creative, literally bolting jet engines to the ground, using repurposed ship engines, or deploying massive fuel cell farms to generate gigawatts of off-grid power just to keep these data centers running.
I read that exchange, and Shah pushes back hard. He basically tells Patel that his argument demonstrates a fundamental misunderstanding of the physics of the power grid.
Right, Shah's very skeptical.
But honestly, regardless of whether you can actually strap a jet engine to a server farm, the mere fact that serious analysts are proposing it proves the train is not stopping. But here is the critical question. How does this blind spot hurt the everyday worker? If I'm just a passenger on this train, why do I care how much coal is in the furnace?
You care because if you don't know the train is accelerating, you can't prepare for the destination. The human cost of this knowledge gap is manifesting as profound societal anxiety. Look at the new Gallup poll we have on Gen Z, ages 14 to 29.
The numbers there are grim.
They really are. Their excitement about AI has plummeted to 22%. Meanwhile, their anxiety has spiked to 42%. Over half of them believe the risks to the workforce outweigh the benefits.
They are watching the ground shift under their feet. And the corporate data justifies that fear. We have a survey of executives showing that 60% of enterprises plan to lay off workers who can't or won't use AI.
That's a huge majority.
We are seeing a massive wave of AI washing, too. Companies using the implementation of a new AI tool as a convenient cover story for short-term headcount reductions.
The displacement is moving from theoretical to operational. Look at what ChatGPT rolled out just this week. They natively integrated Upwork directly into the chatbot interface.
I saw that. So instead of just asking ChatGPT to help you brainstorm a project, a manager can have the AI draft the job post and then directly hire a freelancer from Upwork's pool of 18 million professionals.
All without ever leaving the chat window.
It removes all the friction from outsourcing, which rapidly accelerates the reality that AI is replacing entry-level tasks. Look, we all know the internet is flooded with AI hustle bros selling useless prompt PDFs. I don't have time for that, and neither do you. Etienne has done the actual forensic vetting, for the AI Unraveled community. Head over to djamjamdown.com for this toolkit for the AI Executive Toolkit. It's a curated professional-grade stack featuring tools like Chatbase and 11 Labs, complete with exclusive listener perks so you can actually upgrade your workflow without the fluff.
Upgrading your workflow is essential, but it is only half the battle. Because even if you master the tools, you still have to navigate an ecosystem where the very foundation of information is shifting.
That is the perfect transition. Because if our career paths and the job market are this unstable, you would hope we could at least trust the public information we consume to figure out our next move.
But we can't.
No, we can't. Let's look at what is happening with Google News.
According to the latest platform shifts in our stack, Google News has started prominently displaying Polymarket betting pages directly alongside real traditional journalism.
Side by side.
Yes. They are appearing in personalized feeds, in search results, and even on the homepage.
For those who might not follow prediction markets, Polymarket is essentially a platform where people place financial bets on real-world outcomes. Everything from elections to pop culture to foreign policy. But treating a betting line as equivalent to an investigative report feels like a terrifying line to cross.
It fundamentally changes the nature of the information. They are treating financial speculation as a selectable news source right next to established outlets, and they are pointedly ignoring competitors like Kalshi.
And prediction markets aren't immune to bad actors.
Not at all. The larger issue is the inherent vulnerability of prediction markets to manipulation. Polymarket has recently drawn national attention for suspected insider trading, specifically regarding heavy, concentrated bets on political situations in Venezuela.
When search engines replace objective journalism with betting odds and speculation, knowing the truth requires actual forensics. Jamgamind provides human-verified, technical-grade analysis for the individual navigating this collapse of digital trust. Visit djamgamind.com.
It's definitely a collapse of trust.
Here's where it gets really interesting to me. Are we essentially destroying the concept of objective reality in favor of financial speculation? This feels like the ultimate gamification of truth.
The gamification of truth, that's a good way to put it.
Right. If I search for news on a global crisis, and the top result is just a bunch of crypto traders betting on the outcome, the news isn't about the event anymore. It's about the wager.
It reduces complex geopolitical or societal events to a casino game, and it is symptomatic of a much broader collapse in digital and societal trust. The ecosystem is incredibly chaotic right now, and the friction between the tech sector and government institutions is boiling over.
We're seeing it everywhere.
In our sources, we have the Florida Attorney General opening a formal probe and preparing subpoenas for OpenAI. This stems from allegations that ChatGPT was somehow utilized to help plan a campus shooting at Florida State University.
That is incredibly dark. And looking at the other side of that government friction, ECAI is currently suing the state of Colorado over their first-in-the-nation AI anti-discrimination law. Now, to be absolutely clear to you listening, we are taking no political sides on the Florida AG's probe or the Colorado lawsuit.
Right, exactly.
We are strictly analyzing the legal documents and reporting what is in our source material today. We are not endorsing any viewpoints here. But the underlying tension is undeniable. We're even seeing this tension manifest as physical violence, with reports that OpenAI CEO Sam Altman's house was targeted with a Molotov cocktail.
The stakes are incredibly high. These companies are building systems that touch every aspect of society, and they are reacting defensively to the pushback. Meta, for example, is explicitly banking on the deployment of their AI tools to help clear a massive backlog of social media lawsuits they are facing.
It is an environment of profound distrust. Which brings us to the most baffling paradox of this entire stack. If the public square is this chaotic, and if we are seeing the gamification of our news, why on earth are we simultaneously handing over our most private, deeply intimate data to these exact same AI models?
It doesn't make logical sense, but we are doing it. Let's talk about Perplexity's new move.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Perplexity has rolled out a deep integration with Plaid. Their new computer agent now requests read-only access to your checking accounts, credit cards, loans, and brokerage data across more than 12,000 banks.
And they took that financial access and combined it with their existing IRS tax integration.
Yeah.
So now you can just type a text prompt to this AI agent, and it autonomously analyzes your spending, builds a customized budget, tracks your net worth, and, generates debt payoff plans.
And financially, it is working for
They're
them.
all big time.
This agentic pivot just pushed Perplexity to a $450 million annual recurring revenue. They grew 50% in a single month. They aren't just trying to disrupt Google search anymore. They are coming directly for Mint and TurboTax.
It is a brilliant business strategy, but it requires a staggering level of consumer surrender. Read-only access might sound safe because the AI can't move your money, but it means the AI is reading, categorizing, and analyzing every single transaction you make.
Every coffee, every prescription, every bill.
I'm calling it the intimate agent. And I want to ask you, the listener, a serious question. Are you comfortable giving a generative AI agent direct, unfettered access to your deepest financial secrets? Where's the line between supreme convenience and total surveillance?
That is perhaps the defining question of this decade. And if you look at our sources, the tech industry is completely schizophrenic on this issue. They are simultaneously pushing surveillance while trying to sell you privacy.
It's totally contradictory.
On one hand, Snap is moving closer to releasing their new AR spectacles, powered by Qualcomm. That is wearable, always-on visual surveillance of your environment. But on the other hand, Google is rolling out end-to-end encryption for Gmail on mobile for enterprise users, specifically designing it so the encryption keys are kept entirely off Google's servers.
So they want to look at everything you buy and everywhere you go, but they promise to keep your emails locked up tight.
Makes you wonder. And meanwhile, OpenAI is prepping a highly advanced cybersecurity model.
And we are seeing entire nations look at this landscape and just opt out completely. France just initiated a government-wide exit from Windows, moving their infrastructure to Linux.
That's a massive shift.
Huge. They are explicitly doing this to maintain their digital sovereignty and avoid reliance on an American tech ecosystem they feel they can no longer control.
It is a massive tug of war over who holds your data and who dictates your reality. I realize it is a heavy, almost dystopian picture we've painted so far today. Job anxiety, gamified truth, corporate surveillance.
It is heavy, really heavy. But this brings us back to the very first thing we discussed, the two realities. Because the exact same underlying technology, the same massive compute infrastructure driving that anxiety, is simultaneously unlocking literal miracles.
It really is.
We have to counterbalance the dystopia. Let's talk about the medical study out of the University of Oxford. This is the stuff that genuinely restores my optimism.
Me too. Researchers at Oxford have introduced an AI system designed to analyze routine chest CT scans. The specific mechanism here is fascinating. The AI isn't just looking for obvious blockages. It is analyzing the fat tissue surrounding the heart.
Okay, let's unpack this. Why does the fat tissue matter for heart failure?
Because when the heart muscle beneath the fat becomes inflamed long before any actual damage or failure occurs, that inflammation causes the surrounding fat to physically change its texture. It is a microscopic structural shift.
But it's a shift that a human doctor simply cannot see, right?
Exactly. You could have the best cardiologist in the world looking at that CT scan, and the texture change is completely invisible to the human eye. But the AI can detect those structural patterns pixel by pixel.
Wow.
Across a study of 72,000 patients, this AI was able to flag individuals at high risk of heart failure up to 5 years in advance with 86% accuracy.
5 years. Think about that. And the real-world data backs it up. In the highest risk bucket identified by the AI, 1 in 4 patients actually ended up developing heart failure within that 5-year window.
That's a huge correlation.
That is a 20 times higher rate of failure than the patients the AI flagged as safe. Oxford is already working to roll this out across the National Health Service in the UK.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this represents the ultimate, purest promise of artificial intelligence. For the entire history of modern medicine, our approach has been fundamentally reactive.
You wait until something breaks.
Right. You get sick, the physical damage occurs, you present symptoms, and then doctors try to manage the fallout. This AI shifts the entire paradigm from reactive treatment to proactive prevention. It is an undeniable, life-saving physical benefit.
It is the perfect counterweight to the digital anxiety we feel. And it highlights how we are pushing the absolute frontier of science on multiple fronts right now. Even outside of medicine, we are bumping up against the limits of human capability.
We really are.
We have reports of the Artemis astronauts preparing for a highly dangerous, fiery re-entry from lunar orbit. Over in genetics, Japan just passed a sweeping ethical ban on gene-edited embryos, effectively outlawing the creation of designer babies.
We are pushing the frontier of science, but we are also bumping up against the severe limits of our legacy digital architecture.
Oh, speaking of legacy architecture.
There is a fascinating thesis published today by Nic Carter regarding Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonymous creator of Bitcoin. Carter lays out a compelling, data-driven argument that Satoshi is likely dead.
The implications of that are wild. Because if Satoshi is dead, those original Genesis-era wallets are never moving. They're essentially locked forever.
Right, and those specific wallets hold roughly 1.7 million Bitcoin. To put that in perspective, that is 9% of the total global supply, worth about $120 billion today.
Unbelievable amount of money.
But the critical issue isn't just the money, it's the cryptography. Those specific early coins sit in outdated outputs known as pay-to-public key, or P2PK.
I see the acronym in the sources, but I need you to explain the mechanism here. Why is a P2PK wallet uniquely vulnerable compared to, like, the Bitcoin wallet someone might have on their phone right now?
Modern crypto wallets hide your actual public key behind a cryptographic hash. It adds a thick layer of mathematical armor. But back in 2009, the pay-to-public key format literally broadcast the raw public key directly onto the blockchain for anyone to see. The lock is exposed. Recent papers from Caltech and Google suggest that quantum computers, specifically running something called Shor's algorithm, will soon be capable of reverse engineering private keys if they have access to that raw public key.
So because Satoshi's early wallets left the raw public keys out in the open, it's basically a $120 billion vault sitting in the town square with a lock that is about to become mathematically obsolete.
Exactly. Carter argues that if Satoshi were alive, they would recognize this quantum threat. They would feel an immense responsibility to move those coins to modern, quantum-resistant addresses or burn them to protect the network.
Because if a quantum computer suddenly cracks those wallets
And floods the market with 9% of the total Bitcoin supply overnight, the price impact and the loss of trust would be catastrophic.
it is the ultimate ticking time bomb. Which brings me to the final, unavoidable question of this deep dive. With AI capable of diagnosing heart failure, powering autonomous hiring, and potentially accelerating the quantum decryption of legacy networks, who is actually responsible for all this power?
That is the exact question lawmakers are struggling to answer. Currently, there is no comprehensive federal law addressing who is liable if a frontier AI model causes a large-scale disaster. But at the state level, we are seeing movement.
Like in Illinois, right?
Yes, OpenAI is backing a bill in Illinois called the Artificial Intelligence Safety Act.
And again, total impartiality here from us. We're just analyzing the text of the proposed legislation. We aren't endorsing OpenAI's lobbying efforts or the merits of the bill itself. We're just looking at the facts. But what does the actual text of the bill do?
The bill attempts to create a legal safe harbor for tech giants. It would protect AI developers from lawsuits over catastrophic harms. The bill explicitly defines catastrophic harm as an incident causing 100 or more deaths, $1 billion in property damage, or the development of AI-assisted biological weapons.
Wait, let me make sure I'm hearing you correctly. The bill protects them from liability even if their model causes $1 billion in damage.
Yes, provided the company complies with certain rules, they have to publish safety reports, and they must prove they did not act recklessly. It specifically applies to frontier models, those massive systems that required over $100 million in computing power just to train.
That's a very specific carve-out.
And the stakes for defining these rules are massive. The major tech giants, OpenAI, Meta, Alphabet, Microsoft, spent $50 million on federal lobbying just in the first 9 months of last year, trying to shape these exact types of legislative guardrails.
So what does this all mean? We started by talking about the two realities. We have these life-saving, proactive medical miracles balanced against a deeply invasive digital landscape.
A literal split screen.
We see engineers sprinting so far ahead of the public that it creates an AI psychosis where we don't even realize how fast the train is moving. We see our objective news gamified and placed next to betting odds, while our most intimate financial data is handed over to autonomous agents.
It's a lot to process.
It is. I want to leave you with a final thought today, something to really chew on as you navigate this split screen. If we are truly entering an era dominated by the intimate agent, where Perplexity actively manages your budget, Upwork's AI autonomously hires your employees, and ChatGPT books your flights based on your habits, what happens when all of our highly personalized, data-rich AI agents start independently negotiating with each other on our behalf?
It's a wild thought.
Are we unwittingly building an invisible shadow economy driven entirely by algorithms talking to algorithms that we don't even consciously participate in anymore? Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the April 10th, 2026 Data Stack. Subscribe to AI Unraveled on Apple Podcasts to enjoy this human interest briefing completely ads-free.
That concludes our human interest rundown for April 10th. The signal for today is duality. The artificial intelligence revolution is not one single thing. It is a terrifying force that is gamifying our news and demanding access to our personal bank accounts, while simultaneously experiencing an AI psychosis capability curve that the general public cannot even see. But it is also a profound medical miracle. The fact that a piece of software can look at a routine scan, see the invisible inflammation in human heart fat, and save a life 5 years before a heart attack happens, is proof that this technology can be the greatest tool ever created. We just have to ensure that it serves our humanity, rather than stripping it away. If you are going to use AI, use it on your terms. Forget the hustle bros pushing useless prompt guides. Head over to djamgamine.com/toolkit for my AI executive toolkit. I've personally forensic vetted every platform on this list to make sure they meet our rigorous standards. No fluff, just a curated implementation stack with exclusive listener perks. This episode was made possible by djamgamine. Keep your daily news human and completely ad-free by hitting subscribe on Apple Podcasts. I'm Etienne Newman. Stay human and keep unraveling the future. And before you go, if your company is building the tools that power the workflows we talked about today, I'd love to showcase them to this audience. We don't just run ads, we build technical simulations that prove your value. Let's build something together. Visit jamgamine.com/partners to get started. Until next time, keep building.